The next FNCS season is almost here, and competitive Fortnite is already a mess. Teams are splitting, pros are calling each other out on Twitter, and we haven't even played a single game of the FNCS yet. Today we're going everything that's happened over the last few weeks and why the next FNCS might be the spiciest and most toxic one yet. So we've already seen some massive changes in duos. It all started with a move that everyone saw coming. Cold and Rapid finally teamed up. Rapid has basically said for months that if Cold ever asked, he would drop whoever he was with to be his duo. What's crazy is that Rapid had huge success recently with Khanada, and he just played the eval finals and the division cup and got back-to-back first place finishes with Khanada. But even with that performance, he immediately dropped him to lock in with Cold. When this duo split, an insane chain of events unfolded across North America. Even though Khanada had it bad, Veno had it worse.
I'm going to be streaming tournaments with Cold next year in Dallas, in Clix's penthouse.
Harry Peterson, bruh. He's really bagging NA, dude. We're not duos right now. We can't be colliding like that.
Oh my god, is that real? That is crazy. I actually feel bad.
Veno moved from Europe back to NA Central to compete with Cold, and now he just doesn't have a teammate. It would make sense for him to team up with Khanada since they were both left without a duo, but they made an official announcement on Twitter that Veno would now team up with Peterbot.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Nah, that's why you carry it.
This makes an even more awkward situation because now Pollo doesn't have a teammate. Not only is Peterbot and Pollo locked in as a duo for the Esports World Cup LAN, which they qualified for, but Pollo also just joined Team Falcons to reunite with Peterbot under the same esport org. Peterbot has said straight up he just doesn't want to IGL anymore, which is why he was ready to drop Pollo. Him and Pollo had a conversation about Peter being the fragger and Pollo being an IGL, but Pollo said no. A lot goes into an IGL role, especially in duos, like VOD reviews, surge planning, rotations, and paying attention to meta changes. So it seems like Peter really just wants to focus on getting those high kill games and let his duo do the thinking. But it wasn't long until Peterbot and Pollo confirmed that they're actually back together for now. We'll see how long that lasts because Peter said that could change at any time. Honestly, there's a huge imbalance problem in North America. There's just too many players who want to frag out, but not enough who want to put in the work of a true IGL. Once Cold and Rapid started this domino effect, we started to see even more duo changes. Acorn and Bolts might have also tried to split up after not qualifying for the Esports World Cup and Division 1 finals. There hasn't been any confirmation yet, but there was a tweet from Bolts of him looking for a new duo. And for the rest of NA, it looks like Veno is teaming up with Curve, Shadow and Virgo, G-Money and Preston, Booga and Craze, Ree and Zavi, and of course Cold and Rapid. And then we have Khanada and Tyler. And honestly, Khanada has been having a rough season. He got dropped twice in the span of 2 days, once after placing first in both Divisional Cup and Evaluation Finals, and again after playing with Curve for a single day. He also somehow died in the most insane way twice in both weekends of the Esports World Cup Reload Finals. The first time we saw him get hit with the mythic goldfish from Peterbot, which is still one of the craziest clips I've seen in competitive. And his second death happened in the Reload Finals where he actually died after getting hit with a shockwave launcher, which left him 20 points shy of qualifying to LAN. Josh and Yamzo were getting chased around the entire time, and then they find a 0.01% dev chest, and they end up next to Khanada and shockwave him. He freezes in the air and then dies. He's been having a hard time finding a duo, which is crazy because Khanada is still one of the best players in North America this season. Even other pros are recognizing this too.
It is true though. Khanada is way too good for Ree or like
great pump
like
if you need it.
Khanada's just the unlucky person that got stuck with the like tier 2 players instead of the tier 1 players.
He placed first in the Evaluation Finals, first in the Div Cup Finals, second place in the Reload Finals, second place in the Divisional Cup Finals, and 7th place, almost qualifying for the LAN and going to the Esports World Cup. Khanada even considered quitting the game or potentially switching regions to compete in NA West instead.
Bro, never go to West. That's career suicide. I'd rather quit. And I'd rather just win everything on West than play top 10, 15 on Central. Playing with Arc on Central is not worth it.
Mero offered to come back and play if he needed a duo, but it seems like for now we're going to see him playing with Tyler. But we're going to have to keep a close eye on this because this could change at any moment. Now let's take a look at the Elite Series second finals results on NA Central. Peterbot and Pollo continue to dominate the Esports World Cup reload scene on North America. They won 4 out of the 8 games and ended up in first place with 420 points. And you got to remember, these games are against the best pros in the region, and they're winning half of them. People expected Peter and Pollo to hard target Clix during the second Esports World Cup finals, but instead he played aggressive, fought for height, and pressured every team that he ran into. Cold and Rapid came in second place with 403 points, which is really impressive since they're constantly contested at their drop spot. Both teams are already qualified for the Esports World Cup finals, so third and fourth were the next teams to head to LAN. Muzz and Sphinx got their first qualifying spot. Then the second spot went to Josh Riley and Yamzo, and that's where we get into even more drama. Later in the tournament, Clix and Higgs decided to key Josh and Yamzo. Clix's mindset behind this was simple. If they wanted any chance at qualifying to LAN this weekend, they needed a massive game. But Josh and Yamzo didn't see it that way, and they took it personally. Even though they did end up qualifying for LAN, they still felt extremely frustrated by the situation. They both went to Twitter, and while Josh was more direct in his call out, Yamzo was a bit more passive aggressive. But of course, everyone in the community knew who these tweets were targeting.
And then last game, bro, this guy clicks 100 points behind trying to take me out thinking he's Peterbot, bro. Like, stay in your lane.
We took out Yamzo and Josh in 2 seconds. Just want to clarify. I know he's like all hyped and shit, but like try to like don't say try before you do that. The second we were on you, we killed you guys in 2 seconds, and you know that.
Clix said he would be mad too, but explained that the only reason they went with this direction was so they could solidify their spot at LAN.
I'd be mad too. It's just that's the only way we could have qualified is by killing them, wiping them, and then winning the game. Which, like, as you guys could see, if we won that game, we would have qualified. Like, it's not because I fucking don't like Zoe. Like, it's literally just we had to.
Unfortunately, we'll have to see if they end up getting there in the third round. They still have 2 more chances to qualify for LAN, which will happen later this year. Yamzo stated that they might consider griefing Clix and Higgs so they don't end up qualifying. And it seems like they're not the only team that wants to keep Clix and Higgs away from qualifying, because we have an ongoing feud between Peterbot, Pollo, Clix, and Higgs.
I was like getting told to key Clix yesterday by people on my call because he's like only 30 points above us on the leaderboard, and like for us to pass him, but like I didn't even give a f. I was just trying to key and get out. And
I've mentioned this before that Peterbot has said he came back to make sure that Clix doesn't win. But in the recent FNCS Divisional Cup qualifiers, we saw Peterbot land on Clix and Higgs in order to grief them.
That's me. Thought I was a gun.
Clix was extremely frustrated with the situation since they didn't place as high because of it. Peterbot seems to almost purely focus on keying Clix, not necessarily going after teams that are winning.
Wow, wow, wow! Peterbot versus Clix! Oh my god!
Frankie was right on EU.
Wow! Okay, this is weird.
It's all good. Let him.
Clix and Higgs are still considered a fan favorite to do well in the next FNCS, but Clix was definitely stressing during the recent Eval Cup Opens, waiting for the results of the tournament, because their qualification came down to the last game. They ended up getting 50th, which let them qualify for finals. However, there were issues with the first 2 games of finals, and they ended up not even happening. Then there was some drop spot drama between Dragon RG, Acorn, and Bolts. Allegedly, Dragon told them that he would change his drop spot and not contest them if they sent him $2,000. If he's serious about that, this would be against Epic's terms of service. Of course, it doesn't actually happen, and they didn't accept any alleged offers. North America isn't the only region with drama though. Over in EU, Shark and Teeny continue to dominate in the Esports World Cup Reload tournaments. They got first place in both finals and have been pulling off an insane performance. During one of their games, there was a friend request sent from Focus. Shark and Teeny felt like he did this as a way to distract them during the game to hurt their placements. The community is pretty divided on whether or not this was Thomas and Focus's actual intent, but Teeny had something to say about it on Twitter. Both duos are some of the best in the EU region, and there are some rumors that because this happened, Shark and Teeny might make an effort to keep them from qualifying from LAN. Speaking of Shark, over the last few days, Team Liquid posted an emoji of a shark on Twitter, and a lot of the community got hyped, speculating that this might be a sign that Shark was going to be joining Team Liquid. The last time Team Liquid signed an EU player was Mitro all the way back in 2022. Team Liquid responded back with, "Can we say something without everyone getting mad at us?" and put a Jeff meme from Marvel Rivals. A day later, they announced their collaboration with Marvel Rivals that included some Jeff content, and since then, Shark said he has nothing to do with Team Liquid. Mr. Savage and Mongraal have been a classic duo over on EU. We've seen them compete together, break up, and get back together again and again. But as of recently in February, they announced that they were splitting up again as a duo. The reason for their split split is that Mongraal was grinding and trying to put a lot more work, while Mr. Savage was focusing more on the IRL aspect of his content. And honestly, guys, it's not easy to be a professional Fortnite player and have time to make some top tier content. There were no hard feelings between the two of them. They hadn't even been qualifying for the Div Cup finals or Eval finals. Part of the issue here has been Savage's community being extremely toxic and hard on him for his performances lately. It was causing him to feel like he's been falling out of love with competing in Fortnite. But regardless, he said that he's going to keep grinding and the results are speaking for themselves. Savage has since qualified for the FNCS Division 1 with his new duo, Velo. Mongraal has been playing with Turtle for the Esports World Cup, and they've been looking pretty solid as well.
Oh my god, actually winnable. Genuinely winnable. Oh my god. He's stuck. Oh my god, let's go. The fucking clutch, baby.
Even though Mongraal and Mr. Savage were an iconic duo, I think they made the right decision, and it seems to have turned out well for both of them. Queasy and Merstash won FNCS Globals and have been competing together throughout the season, but so far their placements in each tournament doesn't really reflect how good they actually are. They came 37th in the Divisional Cup Finals in Week 2, and didn't even qualify for week 3, 4, or 5. They also haven't qualified for the Esports World Cup Reload tournament to even compete in the finals. A lot of the community feels like the tournaments this season aren't that serious, so that duo might not even be trying. We're gonna have to see if they get back in their prime when the next FNCS starts. And then over in Oceania, Anon and Vazen won the second Reload Elite Series final and qualified for the Esports World Cup, earning 410 points across 8 games. However, this tournament did not come without its own drama. First, it's important to show the context. Here is where the duos involved were dropping. At the end of the 6th game out of 8 total, Tinka and Resigns were in 1st place. Anon and Vazen were in 2nd, with Alex and Reckless essentially being out of the contention in 10th place. Game 7 is where things get interesting. Alex and Reckless, who already have their land spot secured, decided to land on Tinka and Resigns, and they take them out of the game. Anon just so happens to land at the Boomin' base without Alex there, who then went on to win that match. In game 8, Alex goes back to Boomin' base, his original drop, and Anon and Vazen obviously went on to win the tournament over Tinka and Resigns, essentially taking the land spot from them. This caused a lot of speculation that Alex and Reckless were intentionally helping Anon and Vazen to qualify in round 2, because it was kind of convenient that Alex and Reckless land on the 1st place team and their original drop spot gets taken by the 2nd place team. There's not really any rules in place for this, but it can definitely feel bad for the teams that are involved. And unfortunately for the Women's Cup scene, the Milk Cup ended up getting canceled after sponsors dropped out. We originally saw the Milk Cup in 2024 and 2025 and allowed a professional space for top female players to compete. Clix actually said he would put $300,000 into future women tournaments to support the comp scene.
So the sponsors dropped out of sponsoring the girls. I'm not letting this end no matter what. I'm putting a stop to it. I'm gonna say 300K is a lot of money, but to sponsor a whole girls competitive scene for 1 year, 300K is not bad.
He feels very strongly that it's important for the game to have a women's competitive scene and that they have their own tournaments to compete in. Exit has a lot of women signed to their roster, so it makes sense that he would want to keep tournaments going and secure their roster's future. Hopefully we see more development on that later this year. The good news is that solo victory cups are starting back up this weekend since the season has been extended by 2 weeks. Epic also added 2 more divisional cups and 2 more solo victory cups. And not only that, but players can play up to 12 games in days 1 and 2. So we're probably going to see some pretty crazy leaderboard points. And it won't be long until the next FNCS season starts back up in April. For Major 1, we're going to have play-ins that happen April 6th and 7th, heats on the 12th, 18th, and 19th, and the last chance qualifiers on April 20th and the 21st. And the finals will be on the 25th and 26th. As you can tell, a lot of stuff is happening in Fortnite Competitive, so we're gonna have to see how all of this plays out and how these duos shape up. Let me know if you guys actually want to see more videos like this of me covering the Fortnite Competitive news, and if you do, I'll make more. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.